Start talking. There we go. Thank you all for coming, and I normally always wear a cap, but I just wanted to say that for this day, there's only one hat in the room, and it's this man. So give it up for our red slasher today. Well, we're here at a good time. 2 years ago, you and I had a chance to chat when the last record was coming out, and at the time, that was almost like you were putting on a gig in the studio, like a big Live Aid or something, with all the guests coming in, and all the different artists like Lemmy and Chris Cornell, and Ian Asprey and Andrew Stockdale, all taking a stab at a song with you. This one is 360. I've had the opportunity to spend some time with the record this week, and I can tell you, it's as cohesive a band record with all the elements that you want of it. It's got your name, but you made it quite clear this is Slash featuring Miles Kennedy and the Conspirators.
Right. Well, you said it pretty good. Yeah, the last record was a great project. I got to work with a lot of great people. It was a very liberating experience, and in that process, I met Miles Kennedy, and so he floored me as a singer. That was fantastic. And so we sort of developed a relationship, and I asked him if he wanted to go and do a tour, and so he signed on. He was on a break from Alterations. And so then I met Brent Fitz, and he introduced me to Todd Kearns, and at rehearsal for this ensuing tour, I realized I had a really sort of magic moment of, recognizing that this was a really well put together group, and it was fantastic. So we went out and started touring, and I thought, if I was going to do another solo record, I would just do it with these guys. And so the whole record was written on the road. I came home, put all the songs, arranged everything, and went into a really grueling pre-production period, and went in and recorded the whole album live in the studio.
You can hear that pre-production in it because it has a live off the floor feel, but the arrangements and everything, there's an intricacy to them and an elegance, and it's just a driving record. Now, when it comes to then working with Miles with the lyrics, did you discuss themes before, or did he just bring you the lyrics that he was writing at his time of his life?
No, when Miles wrote Starlight back from Cali, I pretty much recognized that he's a good lyricist. I don't really need to sort of help him along in that department. So I just sent him the music, and he came up with his own ideas, and that was how I wrote the whole record.
And then when you're sitting down trying to come up with the music, do you have a theme in your mind for do you look at the lyrics or whatever was going through your mind? I'm going to have a theme to my style of this record.
No. No,
I
figure as long as he's inspired, whatever's going through his mind, that's cool enough for him.
And it's a meaty record. There's a lot there, and it doesn't let up. I think there's only one real song I would consider that falls into the slower ballad type thing. It's an assault, and it just sounds like A, the record was fun to record, but B, as those of you are lucky enough to be at the Phoenix tonight and will be able to see it in the future, it sounds like a fun record to play.
Yeah, it was a really good time making the record. And it's like, I can play a lot of different sort of feels and this and that and the other, but my main sort of MO is like hard driving, but these were the right guys to do it with, so we just went in and, hardcore.
Well, considering that your rhythm section have Canadian passports, it's fitting that you're here tonight. Todd Kearns, we all know from Age of Electric, so first start with that, where did that hook up the company you mentioned?
Well, when I met Brent Fitz, what happened was I was auditioning drummers in LA, and during that process I started getting all these emails and phone calls. You should try out this guy named Brent Fitz, who I'd never actually heard of. And after enough calls about that, I thought, okay, I'll check this guy out. So he lived in Vegas, and I happened to be in Vegas. And I looked him up, and we got together and met, and he's a cool guy. So we went to LA, and we played for an afternoon, and he just had this really great, behind-the-beat, sort of sexy rock feel, and that's what I was looking for. So we had actually Dave Hibbing on bass, which is a guy from Big Red, which is a band you guys should be familiar with. And we worked with him for a second, and I think I was looking for something even harder than that. So Brent said, I know this guy named Todd Kearns, who I hadn't heard of. And Todd drove in, and he just was perfect. And he's a fucking great singer on top of it. So there's something about the vocals on the record where a lot of the time, in the choruses especially, some of the bridges where Todd and Miles sing together, and they really complement each other. So
yeah, that was a thing I was going to touch on, because for a driving record, the harmonies on the choruses and the bridges are big sounding, but yet spontaneous sounding. And I think that's one of the things about the record. a lot of the influences of you as a guitarist from different times in your career come through. There's some thrash, there's some punk, there's some big time, old time hard rock, there's some blues, and the guitar at times does gently weep, but also really rocks.
Yeah, it'd probably help if you guys
heard the record. I didn't want to touch that too much. Let's just say, 22nd, you're going to have a treat. That's that. And it's long though too. I was curious about the length because there's nothing that sounds like it shouldn't be there. But it's a good weekly record.
Well, you know, initially I thought, you know, we would do an 8 to 10 song record, but we just have so much material, and I didn't want to throw any of it away. So it almost ended up being, well, it wasn't going to happen, but I mean, I got to a point where I didn't want to part with anything, and there was 15 songs there, and Eric Valentine and I talked about it, and we said, okay, we'll do this sequence the way that it feels right, because I'm really particular about song sequence. So I got 13 songs together and left 2 out. I said, okay, these will be bonus tracks, but we have to make sure everybody gets them. So that's how it worked out.
You mentioned Eric Valentine with you on this project from the last time. What does he bring to the studio? What's his type of producer is he?
You know, the thing about Eric is he is very musical. You know, really appreciates good music no matter what genre it is, which is a lot like me. I love all music as long as it's from the heart and it's played well and so on. And so Eric is that guy, but he's also an amazing technician, and he takes everything apart, puts it back together, and understands the nuts and bolts of every piece of gear and so on and so forth. But he's a rock and roll nerd. He loves rock and roll, and so he digs what I do because it's pretty much from the hip and it's raw and unbridled. And so he just loves to harness that to some extent and just capture it. And that's all I could ask for. And we did everything analog. Which we did on the last record, and this time, because I've been on this quest for 25 years now, of being able to record my guitar in the room with the guys. So the way I've always done it is I go into headphones, which I can't stand. I think they're just puny and don't sound right. So I play with the band, but then I erase those tracks and go and redo them in the control room. So Eric built a room within the studio, so that I could play with monitors in the studio that didn't bleed under the drums, so I could play with the band and keep the guitar tracks. So that's a first for me. So it's very like, you know, rhythm guitar on either side. Ron's playing one side, me playing on the other. When the solo comes, that rhythm guitar disappears, and it's that solo spontaneous that happened every moment.
Yeah, and when you get to hear the record, there's tracks like the one we're describing, Carolina. I think that concept worked really great on that song. But yeah, you know, there's some of them tonight, and I want to talk about why, because it's like a club show tonight for you. It's like, you know, at the Phoenix.
Yeah, this is the warm-up show for the tour, but, you know, normally we just sort of do it in a club in LA, you know, but this time I thought it'd be cool to do it in Toronto, because this is a fucking great rock out here, and we'll sort of start the tour. So it's going to be a lot of fun, and then we have a couple other shows coming up next month, and the tour starts in May. So we'll play You're Alive, which is the first single off the record, but we're not going to play anything else until the album comes out.
Okay, so tonight,
you'll get. Well, we never really did a full sort of what you call like proper headlining set in Toronto last time we were here, so we're going to do it this time. And I think the last time we were here was really early on in the tour, so we got way more material in our belt since then. So.
And are you when you're planning a tour, are you into the visuals and stuff? Do you think about that? Do you like somebody to do that to bring that aspect?
I just like good lights and good sound. The other stuff is like whatever. I want to see, if you know, as a fan, I just want to see a really kick-ass rock band. If they have to use all this other stuff to sort of supplement the fact that they're boring.
You're so synonymous with the city of Los Angeles, and you see so many people doing projects from the places they are. I was wondering if you were to do an LA project, a musical, or write a record, just talk a bit about your LA.
That's not what you told me. That's way more complex. I don't know. I've been living in LA for a long time, but I never really think about it much. I work out of LA, and I have certain aspects of Los Angeles that I love, but I spend all my time working so I can go on the road. So I don't really have any kind of LA kind of fantastical image in my mind of what I want to do about representing LA. I'm a part of the zoo there, and I have a video coming out for a song from the last record called Gotten, which is supporting LAYN, which is the Los Angeles Youth Network. But I don't have any big sort of LA projects.
Now, well, LA's your home, but you spend so much of it on the road. Is there anything that when you get to the city or when you get to the hotel or that you bring with you, that you have to have, like your little comfort creature that you always bring with you?
No. Pair of jeans.
Yes, that's all you need.
Guitar.
Well, there you go. There's your comfort creature. It Might Get Loud is an incredible movie, documentary, whatever I call it, with guitarist on the stage, Jack White and The Edge. And I was thinking the other day, they should do It Might Get Loud too, and you should be one of the three. Now, if you were to give that opportunity, who would be the guitarist you'd like to meet? And who are you approached for?
Well, yeah, I mean, Thomas Tull is the guy who produced It Might Get Loud, and so before it came out, he contacted me and he and I met about It Might Get Loud too. So I saw a screening of the movie, but it doesn't look like, as far as I know, it doesn't look like it's going to happen, but we did talk about it. And my idea was it could be myself, Eddie Van Halen, Keith Richards would be killer. I don't know. You like that movie?
And now, being a Jimmy Page fan, did you learn anything from the movie about him that you want?
I just like Jimmy. Jimmy's just cool. My favorite part of the movie is when he's playing, he's got his 45s, and he starts playing one of his favorite riffs, and his body language, and it gets very animated, so it's just sort of physically playing along with the song, and it's very sort of like one of those moments where it's really from the heart.
Revolver put out 2 records, and there's been a hiatus as you search for a singer. You mentioned Big Rec earlier. Ian Thornley has been talking very fondly about the audition process that he went through for Revolvers. So what went down there?
I think in 2000, I would say 2008, before I sort of got knee-deep in my last solo record, Ian, I loved Big Rec, and so he came down, and he was the guy that we would have picked out of everybody over the last how many years. He was the one guy that was really solid, but he didn't. The thing was, we didn't want him to, because we had 2 guitar players, so we didn't want him to play guitar, and he didn't feel comfortable without the guitar. So that's, but he's such a great artist in his own right. He doesn't necessarily need help at all.
And is the search still on for a singer?
Still on
for a singer. So audition tapes come up here. I was looking around on one of those reality TV shows. It was about the real estate ones, and there was Matt Sorum looking for a house on television in LA. And he was supposed to come see one of these mansions or something, and he calls the realtor and goes, "I'm in Brazil. Sorry, I can't make it." But it was pretty funny watching him going house shop.
I can imagine.
Yeah. And I also, you have being born in England. You could represent England in the musical Olympics. I was wondering, with all the music playing, have they thought of that? And they should ask you to participate in the upcoming Olympics.
No, they haven't asked me to do that. But I didn't even know the Olympics were there until a couple weeks ago. But yeah.
What are you with social media? What's your take on it? Do you participate?
All things considered, I didn't start using it until I was doing the last record and realized that it was a good platform to be able to sort of let people know what I was doing. And ever since then, I've stayed pretty committed to sort of putting the word out on any kind of updates and so on and so forth. And I think it's great. I think it's one of the coolest, in that respect, it's one of the coolest new sort of technological advances that we've had to be able to reach en masse, that bunch of people. But for everything else, it's turned into an obvious pain in the ass. It's like with everything. It's like you can abuse it or you can use it for what it's good for. It's worked out for me pretty well.
Now, our old Canadian Neil Young has been very vocal on analog recording and also on warmth of vinyl sounding. What's your take on that? Is this record going to have a vinyl? Do you notice a big difference? And do you try to mix accordingly?
Well, this record was recorded analog, so yeah, we'll definitely have a vinyl copy out there. As far as I'm concerned, if you're going to listen to a rock and roll band, this doesn't necessarily apply. It definitely doesn't apply for what's the word I'm looking for? Electronic music.
Right.
Pop music doesn't really apply in hip hop, but for rock and roll, to record drums digitally does not sound good. It doesn't sound right. And if you take analog recording and put it on vinyl, it is the best way to listen to a rock and roll band.
And what about production? Is that something that interests you about producing under artists or anything, getting into the whole?
Not at this point. Because I have my own record label, the thoughts cross my mind about looking for artists to put on the label. But I'm working so hard just to keep my own neck above water, so I don't even need to be bothered with trying to help everybody else or anybody else at this point. But down the line, at some juncture, there might be something that I go, I want to get behind this and do that.
How do you listen to music? What's your couple different ways that you listen to music?
It's funny to talk about vinyl. I have a turntable at home, but it's not hooked up, so I'm actually still at a crossroads as to what is the most comfortable way for me to listen to music. And it still turns out to be CDs in my car, And when I'm listening to mixes, I put everything just to keep it sort of protected on my iPod, and I can plug that in the car. Like that.
And so what's been on the passenger seat of the car lately when you were putting it in?
The newest Van Halen record. Mastodon's latest record, and along with that, and Lamb of God as well. But that will definitely get you in an accident. It's not healthy. It's great driving music, but it's not healthy. It's like drive to endanger music. But yeah, that's been the latest new releases.
Always remember
the new Megadeth.
Heighington. Coming up next month. As it's been well documented everywhere, we've spoken out this week about your appreciation for being inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, but you took the words, you took the words right out of my mouth when you said it's more about something for people who aren't there. And just touch on the Canadian band Rush that you talked about, saying how could there be an induction ceremony without them?
I mean, the list of people that you don't even stop to think about, because I don't know how many people actually go online and look at all the people that have been inducted, but the list of people that haven't even been nominated is mind-blowing. So, Rush, the big one for me is Deep Purple. All right, I mean, how could you not induct Deep Purple? But there's so many bands that came out that have had such a huge influence on music and have had such great success as well, that there's something wrong about that, and I'm not the only person that's miffed about it.
Yeah, and music is such a subjective thing, and so many people's contributions that maybe didn't get the same attention from the media or anything, but they're so vital to the history of what music that we call rock and roll.
Yeah, I mean, you get the feeling that's a little bit of a biased thing, but I mean, one person's judgment,
like in Canada, for embracing Canadian music and musicians, and I can't say it any better than on the greatest Canadian rock slogan that's ever been. Slash, just keep on rocking on the freeway. Thank you.